All right, if you're an iOS developer, you know the feeling. Managing data in table views, it can be a real nightmare, right? It's one of those fundamental tasks that somehow always leads to the most frustrating bugs. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into how that's all changed. We'll look at the old, fragile way versus the new, much safer approach.
Does this screen give you flashbacks? Yeah, that dreaded NS internal inconsistency exception. This single error has probably cost us developers thousands, if not millions, of hours of debugging. And almost every time, it points back to the exact same thing, a mismatch between your data and what the UI thinks it should be displaying.
You know, that crash is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's a symptom of a way bigger problem. For years, trying to manage dynamic lists, lists where you're adding things, removing things, reordering them, has been a massive headache. When you try to keep all that in sync by hand, well, it's just a recipe for disaster. It leads to unstable apps and, frankly, some very unhappy developers. So let's dig into that. Where does all this fragility actually come from? We're going to call this the old way. Let's take a look back at the traditional UITableViewDataSource, the protocol that's been with us pretty much since the beginning of iOS. With this classic approach, you, the developer, are the single source of truth. You have to tell the table view absolutely everything. You have to spell out how many sections there are, exactly how many rows are in every one of those sections, and then you have to explain how to build the cell for every single row. You are manually wiring your data directly to the UI structure. And this manual approach, it has some pretty serious consequences. When your data changes, you're on the hook for meticulously calculating every single insertion, every deletion, and every move. If you get just one index wrong, boom, your app crashes. Or what do we all do? We take the easy way out and just call reloadData, but that's super inefficient, and it totally kills any chance for smooth animations, which just leads to a clunky, jarring experience for your users. But thankfully, starting back in iOS 13, Apple gave us a much, much better way. So let's shift gears and meet the hero of our story, UITableViewDiffableDataSource. So what is this thing? Well, at its core, DiffableDataSource is a totally new kind of data source that works with snapshots. Here's the key. Instead of telling the table view how to change step by step, you just give it a snapshot of what the UI should look like now. The framework takes it from there, automatically and safely figuring out all the insertions, deletions, and moves for you. And this idea of snapshots is the real game changer. It completely flips how you think about your data. You stop managing all these little individual update operations. That's an imperative approach. Instead, you just declare the final state you want. You describe what you want the screen to look like, not how to get it there. And the workflow? It's so much simpler. It's really just 3 steps. 1, you create a new empty snapshot. 2, you fill it up with the sections and items that represent exactly what you want on screen. And 3, you just apply that snapshot. That's it. You're done. UIKit handles all the heavy lifting. I mean, just look at this. All of that complex, error-prone update logic, all those calls to begin updates, insert rows, delete rows, and updates, it all gets replaced by this. One single, powerful line of code. You just hand over the snapshot, toggle one parameter, and you get perfect, beautiful animations for free. Okay, so we've looked at both ways of doing things. Now, let's really put them head to head. Let's do a direct comparison and see just how big of a deal this change really is. And wow, the difference is it's night and day. Data updates go from manual and tedious to simple and snapshot-based. Animations go from a manual, limited process to being completely automatic. Safety, we go from being incredibly error-prone to being way, way safer and more predictable. Performance gets a huge upgrade from potentially inefficient to highly optimized. And maybe the best part for us developers, your code complexity just plummets. In every single category that matters, the new way is the clear winner. So let's zoom out for a second. What's the big picture here? Why is this such a fundamental shift for how we build apps today? What we're really talking about is a move from a system that is manual, fragile, and complex to one that is declarative, safe, and efficient. This isn't just some new API. It's a fundamentally better paradigm. It lets you focus on your app's actual data and state, not on the nitty-gritty mechanics of keeping the UI in sync. You end up writing less code, you'll have way fewer bugs, and you'll build a much better performing app. This declarative approach, by the way, is the future. It's the exact same idea behind modern frameworks like SwiftUI.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. For any modern app that supports iOS 13 or newer, the benefits here are just overwhelming. The Diffable Data Source API solves an entire class of bugs that have plagued us for years, and it makes our code so much cleaner and more resilient. So the real question is, isn't it finally time we all agree to say goodbye to manual updates and leave redata load where it belongs? In the past?